Hey, welcome back to Meet the Masons. Thank you guys for joining me today. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for meeting us today. And when I say us, it is actually a family channel with my husband and my baby daughter, River. Right now, she is about to take a bath and her dad is with her, so it's the best time to record. But today I'm going to be talking about my breastfeeding journey thus far. On our last video, I mentioned that I would possibly make a video on it, and a lot of people said they were interested in it. So here it is. And I want to just tell you guys that it has been a journey to the point where I didn't think I was gonna make it, but now I am exclusively breastfeeding her. And yeah, so this is just the first 6 months. I'm sure once a year hits, which is my goal, then I'll have another video after that. But honestly, I feel like, you know, when you get pregnant or you're in the pursuit of getting pregnant, a lot of the focus is on the belly, the bump, you know, just going through the different trimesters, thinking about labor and delivery. And that's what I did for the majority of my pregnancy. You know, that was the focus. You kind of just focus on, you know, what's happening at the moment. So it worked. But I would say during my pregnancy, I will always pray and confess that, okay, I have more than enough milk for my child, and breastfeeding is easy. You know, her latch is going to be perfect and all those things. So I would include that in there. But I had no idea of what I was entering into, you know, prior to breastfeeding my child for the first time. So let me tell you guys about the whole journey for 6 months. So like I said, my goal is a year, but prior to that, it was 6 months. And even prior to getting pregnant, I was like, I don't know if I'm breastfeeding my kid, because one, this might be weird. It might feel weird. And if it feels weird to me and I'm like weirded out about it, I'm not going to do it. I know it sounds crazy, but that was just like my pre-mom mind. I just was like, this is kind of weird. And no one that I knew in my family had breastfed. If they did, I just didn't know, and I was too young to realize that they were doing it. So I didn't have a lot of people in my family to tell me about it. So that was that. But there are a few women at my church who breastfed, so I feel like having them around me and having those examples around me definitely shaped me having the desire to want to breastfeed and to continue breastfeeding. So that's just the backstory of where my mindset was on breastfeeding. And it's a big deal, guys, like especially in the people of color, you know, in our culture, we don't always see that. And now there's a new movement to where we are doing it more, but it plays a big role, especially if your family just like, give that kid a bottle, give that kid formula, it's okay, you know. So that can play a big role in the decision that you make to choose your, or how you're going to feed your child, if you have that choice. Because there are some women who it's just the milk isn't producing, and you know, it's just unfortunate situations like that to where they have to resort to formula. And how you choose to feed your child is how you choose to feed your child, but how I choose to feed my child is by breastfeeding, and I'm grateful that I have been able to do so. So let's go to her being born. So if you guys didn't watch my labor and delivery, I did have an unexpected C-section, and that was really hard for me because I was planning on having a completely natural birth. I wanted a water birth, but I wanted to be completely natural, and it wasn't. I was induced with almost every drug possible, and then I had an emergency C-section, found out that the cord was wrapped around my daughter's neck, so I'm glad that I had that to save her life, but it was still kind of bittersweet. But anyway, so I had the C-section, and we didn't get to do skin to skin immediately, but probably like 20 minutes. It wasn't long. Maybe even 10 minutes, I got to have skin to skin, and that's when we initiated her trying to breastfeed. So she latched on perfectly, like it was nothing. So I'm like, this is great, this is awesome. And then the next day came about, and it wasn't really the next day because she was born at like 2:40 something in the morning. So it was like a couple hours later, it was like the morning time, and you know, she kept trying to nurse, and she started cluster feeding. And I didn't know about cluster feeding, which is basically when your child may eat in close proximity of time. So maybe they may want to eat and get hungry every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, or they may nurse for like ever. Like she nursed for like 47 to 47 minutes to like an hour, just like nursing. I'm like, okay, let me call the consultant. Cause is she getting something? Like, I'm hoping she's getting something. And the consultant came and she showed me how to self-express and to, so I could see the milk coming out of my body. And that was so encouraging to me because it let me know, okay, I am producing milk and it's there. But she also showed me different positions on how to position River because she was so small. And, well, she was really long, but she was small. And she put me, like, she propped the pillows up because it's my first time. I don't know how to hold a kid and having her latch. It was just a lot, y'all. It was a lot. But in the hospital, I felt like it was fine. And it was manageable. And then we got home. And it was just something different, y'all. Like, I was just super duper full. And her mouth was so small. So trying to latch on, it was so painful because a child should latch, like, say my fingertips, this is your nipple, and then this part, like before my knuckles, is your areola. The baby is supposed to latch on like this onto your areola. But if they latch on right here, where all your nerve endings are, it is the worst pain. Not worse than those contractions, but honestly, it's like right here, like neck and neck. It was that bad. So her pinching onto the tips, because I was so engorged and I didn't know I was so full, it was very painful to the point where I felt like, yeah, I don't know if I can do this breastfeeding thing. And I was like, if I make it a week, 2 weeks, I feel like I'm a champ and I'm totally fine with that. And I don't really care at this point. And it got to a point where Jared would have to help me latch her on. And I would cry when it was time for her to eat, especially when she was cluster feeding again when she got home, where she was like hungry back to back. And I'm like, there is no way, you literally just ate. And there would be times where my nips would crack, and I would have to use like lanolin, the nipple cream, to put it on there. And that really helped me to kind of like heal my boobs. And then I realized I had a pump. Y'all, the pump saved my breastfeeding journey for real, for real. I don't even know what happened to where I thought about pumping, but I think somebody, there's Jared and River. Y'all want to come say hi? Hi, pretty girl. Hey, pretty. She's laughing. So it was on, y'all say hi in the mirror. You right there. Say hi in the mirror. Hello. So on the third day, I decided to pump in that morning. I was super duper full. Didn't even know. Y'all, after I pumped, I felt like a new woman. Like, I felt like so relieved. My boobs weren't bricks anymore. And I got that milk out and I was so happy. I was so happy, and I was like, you know what, I can do this. And even if that means I have to pump for a while, I'll do it. And that's what I had to do because my nips hurt so bad and they were cracked. And I needed a break from her latching on, and the mental, it was horrible. Like, honestly, mentally, it was so tough for me. But pumping, what I did was I had a schedule of pumping every 3 hours, and that's typically around how often she would be hungry again. And I would pump. So I think I like exclusively pumped for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And then I started to have her try to latch back on maybe like once a day. I would, just so she didn't forget how to nurse. And it got easier, y'all. It got easier. And I was like, I can do this. I can do this. So before I had any knowledge about baby and nutrition and milk and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna nurse till 6 months. That sounds good, because I figured once they turn 6 months, they eat solids and then they're done with milk. Like, they're done. I was so silly. I didn't realize like babies need milk until they're 1. That should be their main source. So I was like, oh, so I gotta do this a little bit longer. So that was that. So anyway, flashback to like, she's like 6 to 8 weeks now. So now we're like pumping and then nursing. Then I got to a point where it was very hard to do both at the same time. Like, it was nearly impossible. So being that I am a stay-at-home mom, I ended up exclusively nursing. And the latch, perfect. she didn't get nipple confusion, and it just worked out. It really did. What helped me the most, honestly, was being in support groups like on Facebook, talking to other moms about breastfeeding. And yeah, just having people that you can talk to about it, and realizing that your baby is your baby, even though the doctors may say, oh yeah, the baby should be hungry every 2 to 3 hours. Not River. She was hungry every hour and a half. And being in the support groups, it let me know that I wasn't the only one that had a baby that ate so often. And it wasn't because of anything on my part that she was just so hungry. It was just that she's either a snacker, or she just gets hungry that fast, or her metabolism just was really high. What's she doing? Hi. Hello. So that helped me to see that. So yeah, River definitely eats more often than most. And this was another thing that I found out. You found out so much along the journey, but there are different types of women. And you could be the type of woman that has an extreme amount of storage in your boobs, to where you can have a stash, or you could pump immediately after nursing and you get 8 ounces or whatsoever. Me, not the case. It's like she eats, like my body produces what she needs at that time, and then it needs time to replenish. It wasn't like I could immediately pump right after. So a lot of women would have stashes and stuff like that, and that wasn't me. Like, the only time I could get a stash was at night. Like, say she slept for 4 hours or 6 hours and she skipped the feeding. I woke up so full and kind of leaking that I had time to pump and also feed her, and I had enough to do so. But with her eating every hour and a half, I didn't have time to pump in between that, because then it would be time for her to eat again. And then, like, literally, like, for me, if I were to pump after she ate, my nips would hurt so bad and nothing would be coming out. So I'm just not that person that produces a whole bunch. I have enough for my child, and it's not like excess or whatever. So as far as having a big stash, no. Like right now, I have 3 bags of milk in my freezer, and that's that. So as far as how has that affected me, it affects me a lot, because if I'm thinking about going out on a date night, or going out and just having some alone time, I don't really have that opportunity to just like freely just get up and go, because I've made the decision that I don't want her to have formula. Now, if I decided to do formula, then it would be a lot more easy for me. And if we decide to do that, we decide to do that, and it is what it is. But at this point, we decided. So as far as having a big stash, no. Like right now, I have 3 bags of milk in my freezer, and that's that. So as far as how has that affected me, it affects me a lot, because if I'm thinking about going out on a date night, or going out and just having some alone time, I don't really have that opportunity to just like freely just get up and go, because I've made the decision that I don't want her to have formula. Now, if I decided to do formula, then it would be a lot more easy for me. And if we decide to do that, we decide to do that, and it is what it is. But at this point, we decided not to. And I also forgot to add that I'm currently not pumping, because River wakes up about every 2 hours right now. It is getting better, but it does make it difficult to feed her, sleep, and pump throughout the night, because by then it'll be time for her to wake up again, and I only had like 30 minutes or so to have rest in between. So that's why I don't have a stash as well. I'm trying to introduce more solids to her so that she can, have good meals, and that can sustain her a little bit longer, versus just having to have my milk. And I no longer pump, you guys, like at all. So I used to try to have a bottle for church, and then I found out a rhythm to where, I feed her. It's all about scheduling. It's all about when did she last eat. So I'm always looking at my timer. I've tracked every feeding that she's had since she's been born. I use an app called Baby Tracker, I believe, and it's probably not even the best app ever, but it's just this I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know if you can, but it's the baby tracker app, and it was just the first one I got my hands to, and I've tracked all of her feeding, so I know, like, you know, when she's gonna be hungry, or, you know, if she has had a long nap, or, you know, like, it helps me be in tune with her. So now, because of that, I can time out when I need to nurse her before church, before rehearsal, in between church services, or right before we go out, because I have that timer and I know her and I know her rhythm. So that has helped me in my breastfeeding journey. If you guys want to know the type of pump I use, I feel like this is so hodgepodge and all over the place, but I use the Medela pumping style pump. This is it right here. And I just use this is what the pumping material looks like. This part, it actually goes like this. It goes on your boob, yeah, like this. Then the milk flows and comes into here. I think the last time I pumped, I would use these little skinny ones, because like I said, I'm not someone who has like gallons of milk come out when I do pump. I probably, like, the most I've ever pumped was probably 6 ounces in one session, but the norm for me is like 4 ounces. And whenever I pump the 4 ounces, that's about how much she would eat anyway. So like I said, I always have enough for my kid, but it wasn't always like an extreme amount. And another thing I got to help me, this looks so raggedy now, but it's by Medela, and it's a pumping bra. So you would slip this little part in here, put that on the outside, and then it's this little strapless bra, and then you zip it up in the middle, and now you don't have to hold these to your chest. So that helped me tremendously in my pumping journey. But now now that she's 6 months old, I am introducing new solids to her. I am exclusively breastfeeding, no more pumping, because I hate it. Honestly, it just takes up too much time, and time that I don't have now that she's being more mobile. Like, I can't just stick to a wall and sit there. I just can't do that. So I have been blessed with the opportunity to stay home and exclusively breastfeed her. So that's where we are right now. I'm so glad that I got to this point, because I never, when she was born, I thought I was either going to be pumping forever, she was going to get formula or something, but I never thought I would be in this place to where I'm exclusively breastfeeding. So if you are on your journey right now and it's hard and you just had your baby, you can do it. And if it's too hard for you and you got to get your formula, girl. Do what works for your family. I'm not one of those snobs. Like, I do believe breast is best, because literally we make the food for them. Like, this is the best option for them. But I believe that you have to feed your child, and if that means giving them formula because you got to do what you got to do, you got to do what you got to do. And I'd be like low-key jealous of formula-fed moms, because I just feel like there's so much more freedom in it, and honestly there really is. Because, like, there are times where I want to go on girls' nights and I don't have that stash to where, oh yeah, let me just pump this bottle real quick. I'm just not that person, and I'm making that sacrifice to not give my child formula during, you know, her first year of life. And if that means I can't go on as many girl dates or what have you, it is what it is, and it's a choice that I'm making. I have tried different things to increase my supply, like drinking the Gatorade, eating oatmeal, putting oats in all my waffles, because I eat waffles every day. Mother's milk tea, I've used that, and it's like, I'm not about to spend a whole bunch of money just to try to go out a little bit more, and that's the decision that I made for myself. Do I get sad sometimes? Yes, I do. Do I want to go out more time sometimes? Yes, I do, honestly, but I'm making that sacrifice, because the truth of the matter is I can leave. I can give her formula. I really could, but I'm choosing not to. On top of the fact that my child is, honestly, I think this eczema is gone, y'all. I'm not even like trying to be all super saved and like speaking it, but I really do think it's gone. Her skin looks amazing, but we found out she has a dairy allergy. So I've had to cut out dairy in my life, which, if anyone knows me, my favorite dessert in the whole wide world is ice cream. I am an ice cream snob. I just love ice cream, and I haven't had it I don't even remember the last time I had ice cream, at least dairy ice cream. I found a non-dairy one, which is amazing. But so I've had to cut out dairy while I've been breastfeeding, which that has been a journey too. But I don't want to introduce her to formula, and most of them have dairy in it. There are some that don't, but it's like, I want to stick to what works, because if you have a child that you're like trying to figure out their allergies, you don't want to switch it up too much. So like I said, that's a sacrifice that I'm making for me and my family. And I look forward to, you know, girls' nights and getting away and doing all those different things. But in the meantime, I'm making that sacrifice for my daughter, because I want her to have the best nutrition that she can have, and that's from me. So that has been my journey. I feel like, once again, it's like all hodgepodge and crazy. But if you guys have any questions about my journey and what I've done, please let me know. Yeah, if you are a new mommy, congratulations. You can do it. You can do it. I want you to know that you really can do it. And if you feel like you can't, or physically you cannot, mentally you're stressing out to the point that you can't even live, make sure that baby eat. If they have to have formula, I ain't no judgment over here. I hate mom shaming. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, if you had a natural birth, if you had a C-section, you gave birth, you were able to conceive and hold a child. Like, that's amazing. Stop shaming moms for not birthing a certain way, or not giving them these certain foods, or not doing this and that. Like, we are all trying our best, and motherhood in itself, outside of the food thing, is already a selfless job. And I'm like getting emotional about it. It's already a hard job. It's already a selfless job in itself, and it already comes with so many things. It's like, we don't need for each other to be bashing one another because you don't breastfeed or you had a C-section. Like, I hate it so much, guys. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but that is one of my biggest pet peeves in life. But anyway, that has been my journey. I hope you guys were encouraged. I hope you guys got some insight about what River and I and Jared and I have been doing. And I must say that Jared has been such a big support of the decision that I make. There have been times where I'm just like, you know what, I'm about to give her formula. He's like, babe, I can go make the bottle. And there are times where, like I told you, he literally put my boob in River's mouth so that she could eat, because I was like, I don't know if she's gonna eat today because it hurts that bad. So having a partner that is supportive was definitely helpful in my journey. So babe, I know you're watching, so thank you. But that's it, guys. We love you so much. And a little update. There has not been any TGIFs in the past like 2 weeks. We're kind of restructuring that. We are trying to figure out what kind of schedule we're going to be having for that, because we're trying to figure out what works for us. So be patient with us. We do see the questions. We are going to answer them. But thank you guys for your patience, and thank you guys for supporting us. We are almost at 2,000 subscribers, and it's like, what? So the support you guys are showing us is amazing, and we love you so much. And maybe we'll see you Friday, but definitely we'll see you next Tuesday. Love you guys. Bye.